For almost a decade on my TV show Interview with Ed, I've been interviewing extra-dimensional beings and consciousnesses from a number of different realms. Many of my questions have been answered, but with every answer comes more questions. Join me on my ongoing quest to find out, who are we? Why are we here? And where are we going? All right, well, we have a very special guest today. I could say years in the making because literally we've been trying to make this happen for years. Our very special guest, Daniel Scranton. 6 years.
Here to go.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, maybe we can fill everybody in on the backstory right quick. I guess the last time we tried to make it happen, I was doing a retreat on Big Island, and then had scheduled to go to Maui, which we did. And literally, like, I think it was that day of or the day before, they announced the lockdowns were coming, and we were like, oh, and then I had gotten sick as well at that time. I was just saying I was getting off a cold, and we had to cut the trip short. And I know Charmaine was part of that retreat. She's here on the call, and nearly escaped Hawaii. And we were all saying, like, hey, it's not the worst place to get stuck in, you know?
It's totally fine right over there.
Yeah,
it
like, was
the forest and the beach. I put up a mask down when I go to the grocery store. That's all my life has changed.
Right. Yeah, it was probably the least impacted COVID place, but nearly escaped. And I don't, even escaping is not the right word. But so we missed the opportunity then, and then even prior to that, we were trying to get together, and there was a bunch of weird things going on in Maui, and I did do a little bit of filming, and I remember you took me to this very special place. There was like I wouldn't say a waterfall, but there was like waters coming off the
water trickle.
Yeah. Do you still go there?
You know, we when my wife and I met, we were renting on this organic farm where they grow cannabis and everything. Like, it was the coolest place, and we had the best view, but the place was too small for the two of us.
Sure.
So that place, that's where you and I met, and that place was 5 minutes up the road. So we used to go hiking there every day because it was literally a 5-minute drive, and then we moved like 20 minutes away from there. So I stopped going there a long time ago.
Oh, wow. But I remember at the time you said that was one of the places that did you start channeling there, or a lot was coming through, or I forget that.
I started channeling when I was living in Long Beach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into that, because in a way you feel like, because I guess I kind of started the show around the same time you were getting started, and you were kind of the new kid on the block, so to say.
Right.
Now you're seasoned and well, you're definitely one of the old school kids. But at the time when we first started talking, it was sort of this newcomer, Daniel Scranton.
We may have met at that ET in media or whatever thing that you were a part of in that soundstagey type building.
Oh, did you come to my ET media?
I came with Nora and John and Wendy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we may have been introduced then, actually.
Probably so. Yeah, that was my old studio. That's I used to hold ET meetup groups on Tuesday nights. So cool. I had no idea we had so many people coming in and out of that. And talk about the beginning days of your channeling. Like, how did that come about?
Yeah, I also want to mention, we've worked together twice on 2 channel panels, really, because you worked on both of those in person, right?
Yeah. It was Rob's, two of Rob's channel panels.
Rob Gothner and you and Daniel James and Nora and Wendy and Lee Harrison. You guys all feel like soul family to me. It's so cool. My channeling started, everything happened in 2010 for me. Like, that's when everything changed. I started feeling things when I would be doing Reiki on people. My arms would move like this by themselves with no command whatsoever on my part to make them do that. And then I was like making this motion as I was doing Reiki, and I was like, whoa, what's that? Where's that coming from? And then I started going like this. And that's in the first moment in my life I ever thought maybe I could channel.
Right.
Because until then, I had never even considered me be a channel. I was happy to let Esther do it. It was really the only channeler I knew. And I knew Daryl too, because Daryl Anka, it's funny, like 2005 or something, I heard about this guy in the valley who was channeling. I didn't even know who Bashar was. I never was explained to me Bashar was an ET, but I went to the guy's house anyway and had a private session.
Oh, okay.
And it was so cool. But I wound up going the Abraham direction until I had my experience later on in 2010. Then I got way into the ET stuff. So that was in January of 2010, the Reiki stuff happening. March of 20.
Would you say that Reiki was sort of the catalyst to get
I
things
would
started?
say prior to that, it would have to be me meditating every single day for at least an hour, I would say. For 10 years, at least 10 years. I started meditating. I needed the energy boost from it. And I taught myself how to do it without even knowing that it was called meditation. It's a very strange thing.
Okay.
And I just knew, like, if I close my eyes for 20 minutes, I feel better. And I'll pay attention to my breathing, because that's a good way to track how long 20 minutes is, to just count my breath.
Okay.
Yeah. And so being a chronic meditator and knowing how to focus is what made it so easy for me, because I only had a Reiki level 1 attunement at the time, and it was in 2003. So this is 7 years later. And I'm just going to focus like I do when I meditate, except I'm basically saying, open up to energy, let it come through me for these people who need healing. And then I didn't really stick with Reiki much from that point, because then in March of 2010, I had the experience that, I don't know if you know who Peter Beamish is. He was the videographer for Abraham for years and years.
Okay.
But he appears in this dream of mine. And the reason it was him and not somebody else is because he would talk about ETs all the time at Abraham events and on cruises and stuff. And I would always kind of like internally roll my eyes like, oh God, here he goes again with the ET stuff. Because I didn't really think they mattered. I believed they existed, but I didn't really think they had anything to do with us. So when I'm turning to Peter in the dream and going, I understand now about the other beings, I know exactly who I meant by other beings. And then I woke up from that very vivid dream. We were like standing in the desert somewhere. And all of a sudden, I feel energy coming in through the crown of my head. And it's so orgasmic. It's so much ecstasy that my body was almost lifted off of the bed. My back was arched so high. And I just kept saying, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, like you do when you feel good. And then I started asking for more. I was like, more, please. More, please. I'm doing all this in my head. I'm not speaking any of these words. Sure. Then I'm going, one more time, one more. And then I started thinking about why this was happening. And so because of my Abraham background, I was aware of like, okay, when you ask, it's given. I had been asking for a healing for my hernia that's next to my belly button for a long time. It was really painful. In fact, about 36 hours prior to this event, I was actually feeling suicidal because of the pain.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so it was rock bottom moment for me in my life. My marriage was tanking big time. I had all this pain. And even though outwardly you'd think like, oh, he's a happy-go-lucky guy going on all these Abraham cruises and stuff. But so I thought, I'm getting healed by this energy. That's what this energy is. I asked and it's being given and it's healing my hernia. But then I start talking to them in my head while this is going on and asking questions. One of the questions I asked was, are you here to heal me? Oh no, before that I go, I wonder what this has to do with that dream. And I said to myself, I wonder what this has to do with aliens. And as soon as I thought the word aliens, a huge surge of energy went through my body.
Yeah.
So then I just kept thinking the word aliens to get more. And I've been watching tons of near-death experiencers talk about their stories on YouTube lately, meaning since July of last year. And a lot of them will say something very similar to what I experienced, which is that you can't really put words to the experience because it was so otherworldly. It felt so amazing. And so orgasm is the only thing I have to compare it to, but it
Sure,
was
sure.
like a near-death experiencer would call it love. And I never thought of it that way until I started listening to them tell their stories. But it's so beyond anything I've ever felt. And so I'm talking to them now, the aliens in my head, going, why are, what's happening? Are you here to play with me? I said. And they said, yes. I said, are you here to heal me? And I got nothing. So I didn't hear anything. Like, again, it was an answer would be a yes if it was more energy through the body.
Mm.
So then I started thinking about like because I've heard Abraham talk about how they're in different dimensions and stuff. So I'm asking questions like that. Then finally I go, well, maybe I can see you if I open my eyes. And then I open my eyes and I start getting the surges again, like as strongly as at the very beginning of the event. The whole thing starts over again. And I don't know how long it went on for from start to finish, but I finally got out of bed when it was done at like 2:30 a.m. And I knew from that moment that this is what I wanted to feel. So I wasn't thinking in terms of channeling at that moment. I was only thinking in terms of like, oh, I didn't know you could feel this good body, like this is what I want.
Mhm.
So I added to my meditation practice a time period where I would sit to feel that energy again, like to see if I could get back to the connection to the ETs or get back to the energy. And I got to the point where if I sit like this or standing up else too, and I just breathe, my whole body is goosebumps. It's like all the way down my legs and everything just from doing that. And so that's how far I could get with it is like I can make myself feel pretty good on command. And if I just practice like conscious breathing too, I can really reach a heightened state of ecstasy pretty quickly, which begs the question, why don't you do that every day? I don't know. I guess I'm a masochist, but I this is March 2010. So between March and October, the only thing really happening is me doing that, going on more Abraham cruises and talking to people about it. I actually got in the hot seat, talked to Abraham about it. And then I remember after that cruise, I saw Esther as we were disembarking, and she was like, big things are coming for you. And I was like, oh. So I basically would sometimes try to channel because I thought when I would go deep into meditation, deep into like a self-healing practice for that hernia again, I would get these feelings like I was going to throw up. It was the same. It's called dry heaving, where you're going through the motions of throwing up, but nothing's coming out of you.
Yeah.
So that was like also leading me to believe maybe something wants to come up and out.
Okay.
And so like with the whispering sound, so that's my second clue that channeling might happen. Then in October, I'm at an Abraham workshop in Asheville, North Carolina, and those are smaller ones. So I'm sitting there in the room of 198 people and I start dry heaving because I'm like, when I go to their workshops, I started to really pay more attention to what I could feel than what I could know with my mind. And so I start dry heaving. I stop the process. I'm like looking around like, I hope nobody saw that. So I sat in a room, a hotel room with my friends, and we all sat around. They sat around me in a circle to see if I could channel with like people there to ask questions. And it looked a lot like this.
Okay.
So that was the beginner. That's the beginning of channeling, really, is like something's happening with heat or tingles or twitches or involuntary movements or something. Something's going on in your body that makes no sense. Because I teach channeling now and I've taught it for over 9 years. And I know that it's not just me that goes through this kind of phase. And So then I get in the hot seat the next day with Abraham and I'm asking about all this stuff, like what's going on? Why am I doing this? They said, look, you're going to do what Esther does. You just have to keep at it until you get through this resistance in your body to it. And I said,
Oh,
whoa,
okay.
never expected to hear that. I thought they were going to say, you're trying too hard or something like that. You really should stop. No. And I would have been fine with that because like I said, I wasn't attached to channeling or anything. So then I had this long distance, like I was saying, my marriage was tanking and June ended. And so that was 3 months after the alien thing. And about 5 months before I started actually channeling, my marriage just ended. And so I go on an Abraham cruise like 3 weeks later and I meet this woman and she's in England and I'm in LA, Long Beach. And so we were Skyping all the time anyway. So we just added to our Skype about 45 minutes to an hour of me going like this.
Right.
And thinking like from Bashar's teachings too. Mm-hmm. One of the teachings he has about channeling is that it's like the completion of an electrical circuit. And so it's good to have another person to help complete the circuit. So that was part of the theory, was that like her being there ready with questions would be enough to help pull it through and I would channel. And what wound up happening was I had one false start with it where I started speaking and answering her questions. And then afterwards I go, I think that was just me. And she said, yeah, me too. So then we kept going, more practice. I eventually got to the point where I would go, p, 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 t, 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 ch, 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 k, 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 k. And then I don't know how long after that I spoke for the creator. So I know you're familiar with for the first time. And they said, we are here for you. And then at that point, again, I'm taking a Bashar teaching and I'm going and I'm running with it. Bashar is like, if you want to do something, just do it. Don't wait for someone to invite you to do it. Put action behind that intention. So what I did was, as soon as I started channeling, I told all my Abraham friends, look, I'm doing this now. You can call me up anytime. I'll channel for you. No problem. And I told another friend of mine who I met on one of the cruises, you want to host a workshop of mine? I'll drive all the way down to San Diego and you can host me and people can ask questions and we'll put out a donation jar. I did that for years. I was constantly driving down to Encinitas, Carlsbad, Cardiff, all these places to do my my channeling events in people's homes mostly. And then I was, doing it however else I could, I knew I had to practice. I knew that if I was going to get good at this, I had to keep doing it. And so here we are over 12 years later. I can't believe it's been over 12 years.
Wow. Yeah. And I think I may, in those early years, I think you were still doing the, it
was much more, it was ugly. Yeah. It was ugly. I look at a video of me now, it's on my YouTube channel and like the thumbnail is like this or something.
Well, you definitely, by doing so, you gave us all a permission slip, because I remember I was at a mountain meditating one time and this energy contortion started happening to me, and then I just remembered, wait, I think Daniel does this, so I think it's okay. So, and then just going with it, the same thing, and allowing it to come through. And then blew my mind at the end of the transmission. I had recorded it. They said, we are the creators, and I was so like, what the hell is going on? I think I messaged you at the time. I'm like, Daniel, is this something that they would say, and it was right after I had in the meditation, I had this vision of mantis beings. So I was thinking perhaps they were somewhat correlated or connected,
and could it appear that way,
right?
To you, I don't know.
It was of a few. It was moment like I had that vision, and then I'd say maybe an hour later I had the message, and it was fairly for me in the moment, it was very profound. And then I remember I was like, Daniel, I think this it was after the first channel panel that Rob had put on. So or no, was it after or before? I forget. It was around the time, right? It was very synchronistic, everything. So, but thank you for, for making the faces and doing that, because, because I noticed that too when I do breath work. I'll have spontaneous movements of hands and body contortions, and I also encourage people to, to try to settle into it, because I think you're right. I think that is energy that's wanting to move and come through, and it's just finding the right pathways.
It is the simplest things that make the biggest difference. And that holds true, not just for channeling, but for all of spirituality. It's amazing how complicated we all make it, because it's breath work, it's spending time in nature, it's meditating, being grounded, being present. These things make being hydrated, making sure your body is in alignment too. I can get dehydrated pretty easily, even though I'm eating totally raw vegan food, because if I'm not paying, and I'm always drinking this Evian in glass bottles, which is amazing water, and coconut water, which is supremely hydrating whenever I can. I still can get out of balance and have too many dried things. And then before you know it, I'm like waking up in the middle of the night and going and getting coconut water out of the fridge, So it's really important. All the things that are easy to overlook in exchange for something that seems more important, like getting the right tuning forks or something, where making sure you have the right binaural beats or something. It's great. And it enhances everything. But Bashar early on gave me some really great channeling advice. And he did this at one of his workshops, where you get up to the microphone, you ask your questions. And now it's really, really new to channeling. And he said to me, make sure you do something that's fun and puts you in a high vibration before you sit to do it. And he gave some examples, like walk on the beach, get a massage, drink a beer, I think was one of his examples. Which Jane Roberts famously drank while she channeled.
Okay.
She's the best of all time.
Yeah.
My opinion. So yeah. And then he also said to me, do you care if it's accurate? And I said, well, I want it to be helpful. He said, that's not what I asked, because he said, it will always be what the person needs, but it won't always be 100% accurate. And I was like, whoa. Then I look at that now and I go, well, obviously I've seen a lot in the 20 years I've been interested in channeling. I've seen a lot. And I know that all of us are these imperfect human vehicles that are bringing through this channeled energy. And even Esther would say to Abraham early on, how am I doing? How am I doing? And Abraham would say, oh, you're doing great. You're doing fantastic. And then years later, Abraham would admit, like, you had some improving to do. Like, in those early days, we were encouraging you and telling you, keep going, you're doing great. But obviously it got better. Your ability to do this got better. And the analogy I always use is, like, if you're trying to learn to play a musical instrument like a violin, you pick it up on day one, you're not nearly as good as when you pick it up after 3 years of playing.
Yeah. And you had messaged me about asking me about some of my favorite channelers, and the old school guys, Daryl and Lisa and Esther, they've been doing it for so long. It seems like they can just snap right into it at any time almost now. I mean, Daryl still goes through his routine because he goes deep. But yeah, for you, I noticed you have a very specific routine with the sounds and the hand gestures. How did that develop? And are you able to make the connection quicker these days?
Yeah, no, I can make the connection. In fact, the connection is made immediately, all that stuff is for everybody. Well, I'm sure it's for me too, but I think it's for everybody who's listening to it as well, to get into the alignment they need to be in to receive the message or to get the activations from the sounds. Because I hear that from people all the time. I never used to think of the toning as powerful, even though our friend Wendy Kennedy has channeled many times about tones and sounds and how powerful they are.
Yeah.
And has said that the Pleiadians she channels has said the overtones work on a person on a multi-dimensional level. And I never understood that. And I don't think I still do understand it. But when there's overtones, that means there's two tones coming out of a person at the same. There's a bass tone and an overtone. And apparently those, if you're hearing that, you're getting some kind of multi-dimensional healing. So I basically do that every time I channel. Some kind of overtone is being created. But no, it didn't start that way at all. In fact, I went in the complete opposite sequence you would expect. I channeled in English. Then 6 months later, I channeled light language while getting a massage. And then about a year after that, I started to channel tones. And one of the first ways that I used to connect with the creators, who didn't give me a name right away, by the way, I had to get that also about a year and a half later. I don't know initially what it was. That maybe it was just waiting for them to say, "We're here for you." But then eventually they would go, "Sing and ring, ring and sing, sing and ring and sing, sing and ring and sing, sing and ring and sing." And just that combination of those two words over and over and over for months. And I finally go, maybe I should be getting voice lessons. So I did.
Oh, okay.
I went to a studio called Singing for Your Soul. And I explained to the woman, who's still a friend of mine, I said, I'm here because I was told to be here being such channel. And she knew all about Abraham and channeling, and her boyfriend channeled and her sister channeled. And so she was totally fine with that reason for being there. And we worked together for like 2 years. And at some point she started doing a toning warm up with me. Cause I was singing like, we would do like a warm up with her on the piano and me matching the notes. And then I'd sing the song I wanted to sing by whoever, the Killers or Coldplay or something. And then when she said, let's do this vocal warm up of toning, that changed so much because it was synchronistically at that same moment. I was listening to all these Wendy Kennedy recordings of the Pleiadians saying, yeah, sound was how they created the pyramids, and sound brought down the walls of Jericho, and sound is the way the universe was created. It was first there was the word, it was sound piling up on itself to create matter. So if you can imagine that, like a snow plow effect.
I can definitely imagine that these days.
Well, I was like, I said to my voice coach, I said, I want to learn how to do overtones. I heard good things about overtones. And she goes, I don't know how to teach you how to do that. I can't even do it myself. So next thing I know, when I'm channeling the creators, instead of them, because once I got the message about sing and ring, they stopped doing that one. Then I'm in the light language phase where I'm channeling light language before they come in. And then the next time I channeled them, shortly after I said that to Kimberly, they came through with those overtones, which they literally were moving my tongue around my cheeks, my mouth, everything. I think my throat too, to be able to make these sounds. And I wasn't doing any of it. I was just letting it happen. So that's the long answer to your question. Like, why this preamble, and where did E come from? I have no idea, because I was channeling Pleiadians first before I channeled Arcturians, and the Pleiadians would go, so that was the first time I made those types of sounds. And I toned too with the Pleiadians. But with the Arcturians, they've always made the sound. It's 7. One time I said, I got to count how many E's it is. So it's 3 rounds of 7 E's 3 times.
Wow. And that it's pretty consistent then in that order.
Very consistent. It's
wow.
extremely consistent. Yes.
And when you said, well, the creators, were they the first ones to come through?
Mm-hmm.
And
creators first.
Did you know they had sort of an ET lineage, or what was the?
I don't know. I think they're non-physical. I think
right.
The ETs I've channeled who are in physical form are the Zetas, the Quaranthians, who is a group that I was just like, whoever wants to come through today. And they came in, and it's Quaranthians with a Q, not with a CO. Everybody turns it into Corinthians because of the Bible, but they're from another galaxy or universe. I can't remember which. And they came here in a wormhole, and they were like, hey, we're in your solar system. We're available. So anyway, I haven't channeled many physical ETs. I specifically reach for the 9th dimension or higher, because I don't want my channeling to become about what's the Galactic Federation doing now, and what are the reptilians up to these days, and how does ship run, and like what kind of, I don't want it to become all mental for people.
Sure.
And get round of questions about things that aren't helpful really to people's lives, that aren't good. And so I've channeled Syrians, and I've channeled Lyrans and Andromedans, but they're always a collective of non-physicals. Even the Hathors, who did come to Egypt when they were physical, now are in the non-physical form when I channel them.
Do you have a favorite?
My favorite to channel?
Mm-hmm.
Well, gosh, it's so weird because
I know it's a bad question.
It is such a crazy question, but it's true that I think it's easier for me to channel the creators and the Arcturians, because I've channeled the creators the longest, and the Arcturians are like the new ones that I've done for now over 6 years, but so consistently almost every day channeling them that I have a comfort level with them. But when somebody comes to a session and they're like, will you channel Saint Germain or somebody like that for me? And I do it, I'm always like, that was cool. I really liked, but I have to get through I still have doubts. I don't necessarily think that if you come to me and say, we have a session together, I want you to channel a group called the Arcturian Council. And I'll be like, okay, I'll do it, but I don't know how good it's going to be. I still afterwards, I'm like, that wasn't very good. Even after 12 years of doing this, I don't feel like Rob Gothier, Rain Man of channel. Like he can just do any time.
Yeah.
Apparently. And I don't know. I don't feel that comfortable doing that.
I'd say, I guess the question should be, who do you feel the most comfortable with then?
Yeah,
and
but
you said
challenge.
Right. Awesome.
As long as there's nothing at stake.
Right. So do you get that then? When people have sessions with you, do they ask for specific?
Somebody emailed me recently and said, will you channel Muhammad for me? I said, no, I don't really want to touch that, it's too tied into religion, and
yeah.
But some of them have been my desire to hear from these beings. I was saying to Nora Harold, how come nobody's channeling the unicorns? I want to hear from the unicorns.
I interviewed the unicorns once, from Jules in the Jules and Pregreek. They do the Stargate experience, and I guess typically they don't talk, but they talk for me, so I got them to talk. So,
yeah, I get the feeling too. Some of these beings I channeled, they don't have a lot to say, so it did make sense to channeling Ophelia the fairy, who came in. She was the second one after the creators that I got, Ophelia, and I connected with her from doing these hikes in the Will Rogers Park in Pacific Palisades, where I felt like at a certain point, I was in a fairy realm on the trail, and I always walked without my sandals on really slowly and kind of felt for them. And I could feel the laughter, and then I could tone, and then I sat under a tree and channeled her.
Oh,
And
cool.
that was the second one.
Well, over the years, I know your messages have been in alignment with, helping humanity get through this transition. Beside sort of that key main message and reminding everybody, hey, we're going through this. Is there any other things that stick out that like that's consistent?
Well, they say there's a lot that will come through like every 6 months or something. And for the new people, like, don't worry about predictions because, and Bashar will say this too, there's not one future. So if you have somebody coming through with, and they're saying, I'm channeling Yeshua, I'm channeling Pleiadians, whoever they feel like they're connected to, because now there's so many channels. I used to be able to say, I think everybody's channeling who says they're channeling. Now I don't really know. I don't think anybody's faking it. I've never seen anyone where I'm like, oh, that's an actor pretending to channel. Right. But I think that the quality has gotten so watered down by there being so many that for somebody to go, well, this one channeled that, this is going to happen. Right. Just because it's channeled, you can't necessarily, like, you do have to feel, it can't just be at the level of your mind when you're receiving someone's channeling. You do have to feel for whether this feels like it's resonating. It's like hitting you inside and harmonizing with you. But I forget I forget why I started talking about that.
Well, I think there was just, there's been so much going on in the world.
Oh, you said, you said, what are the consistent messages? Yeah. One is, don't pay any attention to all these predictions because there's so many and most of them are negative.
Yeah.
Some are not like, well, sometimes you'll just see somebody post something that says something big's about to happen. You see that one a lot, but a lot of times it's look out, shortages.
Right.
I mean, like, look out, everybody. Start building your bunker now. And so like, yeah. And the good thing about those predictions is that if you have a feeling in your body that says, I don't want that, then hopefully a person is awake enough with their knowledge to go, I don't have to experience that. That's a reality and a future possibility. Seth called them probable realities. Mm-hmm. And sometimes a reality is so probable that you can make a prediction, and Bashar will do that during those times, or he'll say it's 80%, or it's, he'll say like, right. I saw an interview with Daryl recently where he said that Bashar did predict a terrorist attack in New York in 2001. He said that the likelihood was so high at that point, and he predicted it like in the 90s. So there are those things that we are moving towards for sure, but they're always empowering people, the Arcturians, to say, look, you are deciding. No one's creating this reality for you. It's up to you, and pay attention to your vibration because that's how you know what you're get. And they'll also talk a lot about forgiveness, compassion, unconditional love, acceptance, all the things that are necessary for us to grow spiritually. Because I think what has happened in a lot of circles within the new age is that it becomes about like just waiting. Like, I know I'm on the good ship. I know when they come and take us to the new earth, I'll be on the good ship. Like, so I don't have to do anything. Right. Myself, because I'm already awake, but really I know I'm not finished work of art to be hung in the Louvre myself. Like, I know we all have stuff. We all get triggered. We all have resistance. We all have challenges in our lives, especially with the people in our lives who are closest to us, our family and our relationships and our kids, and everybody is challenging us all the time to grow spiritually. So when I see stuff about like, just wait because the splits happening, and it's always like, I think Arcturians respond to stuff like that. They are aware of it too. They're aware of what's going on and what needs to be said about what the zeitgeist is.
Right.
Now it's med beds. For a while it was crypto. Crypto's going to save everything.
Right.
And now it's meds. And it's like everything is a outside of ourselves thing. And they're constantly bringing people back to like a recent message basically was talking people through. This is how you get in your heart. This is how you become heart-centered, where you have so much more power.
Good messages. Yep, absolutely. We all feel it. I think we all feel great change. I mean, we've been in the middle of it, but we feel it in our bones. So we're all looking like, okay, what's going to be the next thing? Right. I know.
Right.
I'm guilty of that all the time. So it's,
what okay. I like hearing about what might happen, but
sure.
But ultimately it's to, those predictions give you a choice. Do you want A or do you want B? In the Matrix, do you want the red or the blue?
Right.
And now that's the other big thing in the New Age is it's a simulation. It's a simulation, but it's our simulation. The thing in the Matrix is you need to have villains. If it's a movie, you need to have bad guys, right? Yeah. So of course, in the movie, the humans are not creating the simulation for themselves to grow spiritually. They're being controlled and manipulated by AI, and so then there's a whole big scare of AI now in the New Age. But when people talk about the Matrix, I don't think they're thinking of it in terms of it's my simulation that I co-created. And yes, ETs have helped us to create this illusion. But it's ours. It's our playground.
Yeah, and it has a very different context when you put it in that. Then it's like, why in the hell would I ever create such a crazy machine? And then you're like, well, what have you learned in your life so far? During this journey, what have your parents or grandparents? What is that? What is the human collective? We're constantly evolving and learning. So why not? It seems like the best sort of game. If you had to create a game to teach yourself how to evolve, why? I think there's a pretty efficient one.
Yeah, people still go to the beach even though it's hard to find parking. It might be crowded. You might get a sunburn. People still go to Disneyland even though there's lines and the prices are outrageous. It's like people, you understand there's bad or unwanted or lower vibrational that comes with good or higher vibrational. They're all available to all of us. But yeah, I think if we did spend 1,000 years, let's say, in that heaven that we were told is what heaven is when we were kids,
right?
Where you can eat ice cream all day and never get fat, and stuff like that. It's like you get bored.
You get tired of ice cream really quickly.
You'd be like, okay, another day of paradise. Like, give me a challenge.
Exactly. Well, let me open it up to
yes, I will
the
love
audience
to hear
here some questions before we get into channeling, so people can interact. And since Lori, you're here, I'd love to hear from you if you don't mind popping in and sharing. You got some activations from Daniel's work. Do you mind hopping in and maybe sharing some of that?
Oh yeah, sure. God, it's just kind of funny because like Ruben's show is helped wake me up. Like I plowed through all your seasons, and now Daniel's like the one who activated the hell out of me. So it's so awesome. Wild, yeah. And gosh, I guess it kind of started last fall, Daniel, when I kind of discovered you.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of back on last Thursdays. When that stuff you brought through, that was a wild. But yeah, it was just kind of something I stumbled upon Daniel's stuff. I can't even remember how I found him or whatever. But I kept hearing or feeling trust Daniel, just keep trusting him, go with his stuff or whatever. And yeah, it was pretty much they had major activations and things starting to happen last fall. And one of the things like I had reached out to Daniel about was I was like, I'm supposed to like start learning about light language or something. And it was just kind of like a thing that kept coming. And he was like, okay, like I can send you this or whatever. And I was like, okay.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Do you remember that? And it was so,
Oh yeah.
This might actually make you laugh because listened to he sent me like 3 deals, and I listened to the first one and it took just like one. And the next thing you know, like it was like I was activated or whatever. It all just started coming through. And I was like, Daniel, like, I don't know what's happening. Like he's I'm keep waiting for him to be like, get sick of me, because everything that he like does or whatever, it just there's some sort of resonance with his work that I've been synced up with, and he's bringing through such interesting information and connecting a lot of dots for me. But yeah, I just always use discernment, like whenever I'm listening to channelers. I think like we all do. And for whatever reason, Daniel's stuff has always matched up. Like I'll get these clairvoyant images and stuff like that of things that come through in meditation or deep dream state. And I can't quite like piece it all together. So with my sessions with Daniel, I'll be like, I'm getting like this. Can you like help me out? I should with piecing this together on a channeling, which is what happened Thursday night. Did that surprise you when that came through, Daniel?
No.
Really?
No, not really. No. It was what I would expect them to say. Yeah.
Really?
Can you give us a little context for what happened Thursday night?
She has a friend in the Pleiades named Devin. And was it a dream that you were asking about?
And actually, like I had that. Some of that was in dreams, some of it was in meditation, where I had like a deep meditation, and I had images of that. I kept getting it repeatedly, like during meditations of this party or this like ceremony. There was some sort of like, it was like a recognition type thing or something that was very significant that Devin kept showing me. And I could see like all these Pleiadians there, and I could see galactics, and I could see this event, and I could feel it really strongly. And I knew that there was something that was really important that he kept wanting me to know about, but I couldn't figure out what was this. And I knew there was an award. That was the other thing. We were getting an award. I forgot. I knew that too. And so yeah, during Daniel's Q&A, when he was channeling the Hathors, and that was the question I asked, was like, what is it about? Because I needed them to feel the dot. And yeah, do you want to tell them what you brought through?
I remember it. I remember they said that Devin and Lori in a Pleiadian past life together co-created a weapon that helped the Pleiadians in the Orion Wars to really save a lot of lives, even though, it was still a weapon. They didn't feel great about doing it because they were healers, really, and they kind of reverse the healing technology to make it, work in the other way and be explosive, and destroyed something of the Orion empires. And that's why they're getting this award.
Wow. That's very specific.
I'm listening to it on that thing, and I was like, what in the, and what was weird, Daniel, was like, I had all this emotion pour in while you're channeling. And I literally like started like crying because I felt that emotion happen. And it was weird because I kept getting that in the meditation, that this award was like bittersweet. And then it was like, isn't that weird? It was like, we didn't want to do that. And I think that's what you brought through on the channeling was like, you reluctantly did it, but then you got back to work and all that stuff. It was just really interesting. So he keeps piecing this Pleiadian life together for me of what me and Devin did, who we are, and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, it's been pretty fascinating.
Very cool. Super cool. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. One of the things that I enjoy doing from the show and just asking the questions is so many people, just like what you just shared, this weapon that was used in the Orion Wars, right? So getting these nuggets from different people that match this greater story, just like we had Will come in and channel for us on the open mic session last week or a little over last week. And he brought through an Orion being that sort of talked about the suppression a little bit. And so we're hearing these stories. And then I remember hearing from some of Lisa's channelings, how there was this soul containment during the Orion Wars. One of the reasons why it was the beings at that time was they were on a soul level trapped. There was some technology used, so they couldn't escape. And then that being that Will brought through was sort of talking about that very exact mechanism. And then she also mentioned, or I asked her if the Pleiadians were involved in the Orion Wars, and Sasha came through and reluctantly said yes, they were. And then we're just getting a nugget now from Lori that there was this, healing weapon. So all these little nuggets seem to sort of add to this bigger picture that I'm trying to piece together, about our ancient past, the Lemurians, the Pleiadians. And I think through this, for me, it's fun. It's fun to get the nuggets and the pieces from different people and sort of put them all in in my own little categorization, and figure things out. One day, maybe I'll write a book of all this collective, because you have to be very watch the show. And if you're picking up on, through the 3 seasons now, and then all of these additional online chats that we're doing here on Sundays, you have to be very, you have to pay attention, class. There's a lot of little nuggets that keep dropping, and it'd be interesting to maybe in the future we can have some roundtables where we're comparing notes on some of these bigger things. And I know at the end of the day, it's constantly shifting based on our vibration and our frequency and where we're at, and the stories sort of shift as well. But that's my fun. That's what I like to do. How about Daniel? For you, have you these bigger galactic stories and things? Have you put sort of these puzzles together, or are you just letting it flow as it flows?
Through other people's channeling, yeah, and not really my own. I'm so impressed by Lisa Royal. I tell other people about Lisa Royal all the time, including you and Mike Dooley, who people might know from Tut. He does this email every day from the universe, and he was in The Secret. Anyway, the guy's got over 1 million followers on his email list. And so I introduced him to Lisa's channeling, and so we did an event together with Daryl and Matt Kahn and a few others. And people, when people discover Lisa Royal Holt, they're always like blown away. Mm-hmm. Prism Lyra and all that galactic history stuff is just amazing, amazing. I finally listened to the book on tape of Prism Lyra, and I could listen to that stuff over and over and over again, because you hear it and you love it, and then you forget it, kind of. Like it's hard to remember everything that's being said about what transpired prior to Earth humans coming along and being a part of
the galactic history. She's definitely, I think, got the best take on it than anybody I've heard, as far as just the vastness that her library of channelings on that. So and the books and stuff. But any questions? We can always chime in at the end here if you have
of the Arcturian instead of me.
Yeah, I think they're probably holding back, but we'll
edit.
Is it okay at the end? We'll bring you back and have a little closure.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Sweet.
So you guys kind of heard about this whole, like, those of you who've never seen me channel before, this whole intro thing.
Okay. Hey there. If you like this broadcast and want to join us live each week, come over to the Interview with Ed membership portal. The links are down below, and you too can join in the conversation, asking the channel's questions directly, and the beings at the channel. And we have a bunch of other offerings. So come on over and hang out with us. It's a great community. See you there.
Okay. Now you guys can enjoy the tones too.
All right.
All right. Here we go. Well, the tour. How pleased. Will all do. Yes. 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 We have so much enthusiasm for connecting with all of you. And as much as we are eagerly anticipating your questions, we would also like to give you an update on what's been going on there energetically. We sense, we feel the asking that is occurring within the human collective consciousness. And we want you to know that your abilities to connect with us, your guides, your galactic team, your other friends who exist throughout the universe, those abilities are getting sharper and more refined every single day because of your readiness for the energies. You have to get yourselves to a place in terms of your overall vibration, your level of consciousness, before you can handle the energies coming from those who love you the most and those who want to help you the most. We can only do so much until you are ready vibrationally, energetically to receive more. And you are also getting a lot of help from your guides with the upgrades to your crown chakras and your heart chakras to be able to handle the energies. These cellular upgrades are also happening all the time while your bodies are resting at night. And you have readied yourself tremendously by being willing to look within yourselves, by being willing to do the work that you need to do to get to this point in your spiritual evolution. But everyone who is in attendance, everyone who will at some point be a watcher or a listener of this gathering, you are ready for more, and we understand that, and so do all the others who are helping you at this time. We understand that you want more connection, you want more information, you want more guidance, you want to feel more a part of something, a part of a collective consciousness that is only seeking to do good, only seeking to be of service. And that's what you are a part of. That's what you have risen to be a part of at this time. And so we connect with all the other higher vibrational, higher dimensional collectives here in the ninth dimension. And we talk about the issues facing humans on Earth. We discuss what would be best for you energetically, how we can best support you, how we can best reach all of you. And we've made so much progress as a team, especially over the past several years there on Earth. We have made a lot of progress, and the goal of having everyone who is ready for greater contact receive that contact is something that is coming to fruition at this time. Now, we know that the absolute best experience for all of you, at least as you believe it to be, would be a landing of ships and having ETs come out and you meeting to face with them. But in the meantime, do accept the energies that are coming in from the non-physical planes to assist you. Accept and open up to all of the communications, all of the guidance that can come without you having to have a physical face-to-face contact, because all of that is the precursor to the face-to-face contact, and it readies you for what you ultimately want, to first familiar with us energetically. And when we say us, we mean all of the beings and all of the star systems, because at some point you will be very, very aware of all of us. In the meantime, know that you're continuing to make steps forward towards that goal, and that the goal is one that is being worked on not only by all of you there on Earth, but all of us who want to help you from above. We also toil away at this connection with ET's issue that we know is a powerful one for those of you in this gathering, and most people who are awake, in fact. Very good. Now we are ready for questions. Yes.
Sure. Okay, let's see. Let's pick back up with the Orion story. So, is there any more that can be said about my role at Orion War? Anything else that wants to come through that the Hathors brought through Thursday, since we're all kind of briefed on that story?
Well, the end of any conflict, whether it be a fight between two people or a fight between many different star systems, will always be as a result of the raising of the consciousness of those who are involved. And so you can rest assured that your past life self was doing that as well. You were raising your level of consciousness. You were raising the level of consciousness of everyone else who you came in contact with in that lifetime. And you were, as you know now, a prominent figure in the Pleiades, as was Devin. And so a lot of people had access to you, and you could spread a lot of teachings around in regards to healing and meditation, channeling, all sorts of ways that beings had of raising their level of consciousness. And you did. And so in a sense, you did help to end the Orion Wars. It was really more of a grassroots effort there in the Orion system, but everyone is always contributing to the collective consciousness of their planet, their star system, their galaxy, and this entire universe. And you were doing your part, as was Devin, in raising the level of consciousness, not seeing it as a war where the most space stations and ships and so on blown up, the better. But seeing that as a tragedy and seeing the need for peace within each individual as being the ultimate goal.
Okay, so Charmaine's question is, and thank you, Arcturians, for. Charmaine says, are there future versions of all of us in your world that we can connect to individually through?
Now, Lori has lost her sound. But we will say yes, that there are other versions of you from your perspective. Would they be the future? Yes, because ultimately you are coming to our dimension and you are coming to our star system, no matter where you are. Everyone will seek out that experience of being ninth dimensional. Everyone will seek out that experience of being Arcturian. Now, will there be a change? Yes, of course. As you move through your idea of linear time, there's always change, there's always expansion and growth. And so this version of this collective is what it is today, but won't be what it is in 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 Earth years, or however long it would then take for you to raise your level of consciousness to be here. But it is accurate to say that there is a ninth dimensional, non-physical Arcturian version of every single one of you. And we are not the only collective of Arcturians in the ninth dimension. Just like you have different collectives of beings in the 12th dimension, where you would think by dimension 12, when you're getting that high up, when you're getting that close to source, you would think that everyone would just be one, but there are still collectives of archangels, of the ascended mass who have been mentioned here several times today. There are many like that in the 12th dimension who still have a sense of, well, our mission, our purpose is slightly different from yours. And so we will have a grouping here of non-physical consciousness that comprise this version of source. And we are one of many councils and collectives in this dimension who identify as Arcturian. And so it is very true that there is a connection to our council that is unique to all of you who are aware of us and interacting with us. That would be different from, say, a council being channeled by another channeler of ninth dimensional Arcturians. They will have different humans that relate more to them because of connections that have been established and that are being established and that will be established. So it is a very, very vast universe, as you can imagine, and you're all going to get your chance to experience what it's like to be in this dimension and this star system. But right now, you also have to remember that we all live in this holographic universe where every piece is included in the whole and the whole is included in every piece. So you have that which is us inside of you in our entirety as well, which is hard, we know, to wrap your brain around, but just know that you are source, you are everything, and all parts then must exist inside of you. That is why one of the messages that we continue to pound home to all of you Earth humans is the importance of going within and how much it matters to have a life of inward reflection, of feeling around inside of yourself and poking around for just the right vibration or combination of vibrations to give yourself the experiences you want. Very good. We hope that answers your question, and let's see if anyone else can unmute themselves.
Charmaine, can you hear me?
We can hear you, Ruben.
Oh, wow. Great. So right now we're going through this evolutionary stage, and I know myself, and I can probably speak for many on the call, our telepathic abilities seem to be increasing, synchronicities, and we're sort of tuning in more, and we're emotionally feeling things more than perhaps I know I can. This is for me. So this ability of telepathic communication seems to be ramping up a bit. And I'm just wondering, is there anything that you can suggest that we do to help with this training or this evolution that seems to be happening?
Yes. Well, what's really happening is you are becoming more aware of the fact that you've always been telepathic, that you've always really understood each other and have been able to be aware of each other's thoughts. And now that you have an awareness of that awareness, you want to lean into it in the sense of recognizing that it is happening, believing, of course, that it is possible is that first step. But once you have an experience with it, then you believe in it a little bit more and you practice it a little bit more as you're paying more attention to what someone else is offering, what's in their field, what they're vibrating. You are then 100 times more likely to be able to interpret that energy and interpret it in the moment that it's being offered. Whereas if you're having a conversation with someone, but at the same time, you're thinking about something else, you're not really present with that person, you're thinking, oh, here they go again on this topic, then you're not getting everything that is included in what it is they're transmitting to you, some of which is telepathic. It's in between the words. So as you care more about receiving everything that the person is offering to you and you open yourself up to it, of course, that ability will show up in myriad ways to you, and more abilities will be showing up as well. But this one of telepathy is one of the easiest and the first for you to encounter of fifth dimensional abilities you will have all the time once you complete the shift.
Awesome. Thank you. I think we're going to try with Will again. If he can.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
cool.
Awesome.
Okay.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Daniel, and the beings coming through. My question is, you said humans on Earth when you were opening, and it made me think about just a series of dreams I've had about humans who are just like us, same time era, same everything, but they are off planet. Ones that are kind of kept really secret from us. I would love to hear about that a little bit. It just really struck me when you said humans on Earth, as if there were humans not on Earth who are not, other species or other races.
Yes, indeed. You do have a part of your collective that decided as souls that they wanted to have a different experience than the most common experience, which is to be born on Earth and stay on Earth. And so, yes, there are these ships and these stations and even off-world communities that exist with humans that would normally be born on Earth. And that is because humans have found the technology handed to them essentially by ETs to do these things. And of course, as you've become aware of throughout your explorations of what type of information is out there, there are people who have taken that information and have used it to create colonies and ships and space stations where humans can also coexist.
I just want to follow up with that. Thank you so much. I just want to follow up and say, like, how do we, I sense that a lot of us would love to kind of
take our one-way ticket and explore.
Yes.
At least I know I'm interested. How do we reconcile that? That's a very tough thing at our stage in humanity.
Well, it's important for you to know what is possible so that you can see it as a possibility for you. So others going there first gives you then the belief that you can also live off world at some point. But if you're there, then you're supposed to be there. And there's plenty to enjoy of planet Earth. There's plenty that you have yet to discover. There's portals and stargates. There's underground catacombs. There's so much beauty there, even on the surface of Earth, for a normal fourth dimensional human to experience. And the more you show that adventurous nature of yourself by exploring the world that you're on, the more opportunities then will come to you, and come to you perhaps more quickly to explore off-world as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Will. Brittany, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I have a question. I know you mentioned 5D abilities. So my question is regarding the activation of our light body, or Merkaba. I just want to know more about like the process of that activation. Like, is it once you activate it once, does it stay activated, or kind of what are the intricacies, the details of that?
Well, you're literally choosing your body in every moment of every day. And you can be moving in that direction where you're feeling pretty good. Your thoughts are pure. Your vibration is high. You're feeling joy and love as your primary emotions. You're lightening up. You're laughing a lot. You're enjoying life. And so you then are harmonizing with lighter and lighter vehicles. You can continue on that path, even if something were to happen. Let's say someone close to you dies. You could still continue on that path. You could level out for a while, have a mourning, grieving period, and then continue on that upward spiral. But for that time where you were observing your emotions and realizing, oh, I'm really missing this person, they died in a tragic way, then you're not going to be continuing to move in that direction of a lighter and lighter vehicle until you get back on the conscious upward spiral. Now, the upward spiral that we talk about from time to time is for all in the universe, but you also have your personal experience of ascension. And at times you will throw a curveball at yourself to see how you'll respond, to see if you can still maintain that higher vibrational energy and thinking those more positive thoughts and feeling those more higher frequency emotions. You will see if you can maintain all of that under certain conditions, not as a test, but to really see how ready you are to take on more, to do more, to become more. And your body will always be the reflection of your overall consciousness, but you're not going to backtrack. You're not going to actually become more carbon-based all of a sudden just because you had one of those curveballs thrown at you. Instead, you might level off for a while and then resume activating more of that energy that is a match vibrationally to a lighter and lighter body. So it's not really your body that changes. It's you that change. And when you do, you move to a reality where there's a slightly lighter form for you to inhabit.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right. Cara has a question. Go ahead, Cara.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yay. Okay, I had typed a question, but I actually want to change it based off of Brittany's question, because that was fantastic and it got my wheels turning. So I have had over time a lot of expansive experiences, particularly as I'm drifting to sleep. Instead of sleeping, then it becomes these expansive kind of traveling experiences. And you had mentioned that in our evolution, things will come easier and easier. And this has been one of those things, like when I first met Ruben and I had an experience with this crystal skull. About 10 days later, had a huge multidimensional expansive experience. And then with every kind of few weeks, I would have something. Now it's like every couple of days. So it's really amping up. And it's a lot easier to kind of move through densities and dimensions. And I've always been curious if, as these things are happening, it's actually new activations that are happening always and new things coming in, or if it is kind of a training and just getting more adept at things that have already come in. I don't know if that makes sense.
Correct. It's the second. It's the latter. In that you could not possibly be more bombarded than you are in this moment, except in the next moment it will be more, and then the next moment it will be more, by all of the energies and all of the help that you are getting. But most people have their umbrellas up and they're doing their best to run for cover and dodge, not consciously, of course, but through what it is that they're holding on to or what it is that they're focusing upon that doesn't serve them. Something is causing them to contract and not blossom like the flower does in spring to receive that rain that is needed. So once you start doing it, yes, your body acclimates, or to put it another way, your consciousness acclimates, and you are then in a body that is more acclimated to those energies. So you will continue to find it gets easier and easier because you have more experience with those energies. You have more success working with them than you had previously. But it is also true that you give it some place to go. In other words, you show yourself to be a good conduit of higher frequency energy. That does get the attention of more beings. And even your team, even your guides will say, oh, look, she's doing it. Let's amp it up. Let's give some more for her to work with. But really, once you stop cinching it off and you get into the flow with it, you do notice these things. You do notice how smoother it becomes for you to run those energies.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Karan. All right. Let's see. I can jump in with Beth. We can see if Beth has a question.
Okay. First, Arcturians, I'd just like to say thank you. I listen to your message every day. It's so grounding and validating. So thank you. And thank you, Daniel, for the effort of doing that. My question is, I know I'm doing a lot of things in my sleep. I say that in quotations. A lot is going on, but I don't really know exactly what's happening. And I haven't necessarily been super curious about it, but I've become curious that I'm not curious. And I'm just wondering if that's resistance. Is it helpful to really know what that work is that's happening while you're sleeping, or is it just it happens and when I need to know, I need to know? I just don't know if I should be more curious.
It's sort of like past lives where you don't want to get too caught up in them because then you're not as focused as you need to be on your waking reality, which is exactly as it is supposed to be to get you to grow spiritually. So if you're fixated on all of these amazing experiences that you're having as you're traveling through the astral plane and meeting up with so many helpers and friends and family members and ETs and non-physicals, that you don't then have any interest really in the mundane world that you live in your waking state. That is why. And also, it's very hard for the human mind to even come up with an image or an interpretation of what's happening as you're asleep, for those of you who are going far beyond the normal type of sleep experience or dream experience. And so to make sense of any of it and give you any sense of it would be very challenging for your mind.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Anita, you want to try your mic?
All right. So yeah, I do have a question. Now I had this energy. I was actually practicing left and right brain, synchronizing my left and my right brain at the same time. And I had this frequency come into me that I just felt, and I started vibrating. And so that activated something, and I'm not sure what that activated, but in the beginning, it was actually quite on the forefront every time. And it would come and go. It was like very, it just felt like it was so much and so strong. Like I could sleep at night because I was, vibrating. But it's kind of gotten a lot more. I've integrated it a lot, and I rarely even notice it anymore. But there are certain things and certain times where it now just seems like just a small hum, and it's not intrusive or anything. But I was wondering, it's a lot more comfortable now. Can you kind of give me some insight on what that is?
You're really feeling the energies that we were referring to earlier, and that can be such a nebulous concept to people, very ambivalent about or ambiguous, these energies and what they are and how you experience them, until you do start experiencing them and you experience them viscerally. In other words, it's more than just a subtle feeling that you have that there's an energy present in the air, but it's literally transforming you because you took the time to open up and harmonize with what was available to you. And then once it comes to you, you do have that period of acclimation to it. So it really is your essence, your consciousness that is acclimating to the energies, because as we said before, you keep transferring bodies moment by moment, but you will get to the point where you won't really feel it at all. You'll know that you've been changed, but then there will be another set of energies that will give you another boost to take you to another level of your own consciousness. And that's what you're getting when you do something like breath work, like meditation, like synchronizing the left and right hemispheres of the brain, or whatever it is that you're into in that moment, that you're into for that precise reason that it's going to be the thing that takes you to the next level of consciousness.
Thank you. So just continue to integrate it then.
Just continue and trust and know that this is very normal. It's like having a growing pain.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anita. Christine, hopefully your mic works. Where did she go?
I'm here. You hear
There
me
she
now?
is. Yeah.
Now we
Hi, Arcturians. I have a question about the sexual energy. Daniel was talking about his experiences with that energy very powerfully. I've had experiences with that sexual Kundalini energy, and I don't know how to deal with it at times. Like in medicine ceremonies, I've experienced it very powerfully with a lot of sounds and orgasms and pounding and a lot of powerful energy coming through. And then even at times when I've experimented with healing, I found a really good way to connect with people hugging, but then at times it's turned sexual. And also during medicine ceremonies, I've been told to steer it upward, but it feels like I'm trying to force it and it doesn't feel right. And I feel like there's resistance there. And I also experience it at times when I'm practicing yoga and I don't want to freak people out that don't know what's going on. So how do I handle that?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned yoga because when Daniel here was new to channeling and he would go to a yoga class or an event where there was yoga being done and he would participate, he would speak light language uncontrollably. And it got to the point where he said, well, I want to do yoga, but I have to do one-on-one classes. I have to hire someone to just teach me yoga one-on-one. And when he did that, the light language came out of him so loudly that it was comical. And what happened was eventually he felt like he had gotten through it and that he could join a yoga class in a normal yoga studio and not be a distraction to everyone else. And you will get there as well. And know that everything that you experience with this sexual energy that makes, if it makes someone else uncomfortable, let's say, who's in that group, then they then need to deal with their discomfort with it. Just as you need to also make peace with the fact that this is an aspect of you and an aspect of you that under certain conditions feels out of control, but to be able to work through that and not feel embarrassed about it at all is a part of your journey. It's one of the creations that you came up with to do some of that quick, fast track type integration to get you to the next level of your consciousness evolution. And this is just the way you've chosen to do that. So if you need to make certain adjustments to where you're doing something, you always want to feel safe, of course, and with whom and all of that, then do that and know who to hug and who you might not want to hug as well, because it will ease the transition for you to the point where eventually you will be completely integrated with your sacral chakra and your sexual energy. And you won't feel like this is something that's just happening anymore, but something you can control and use for yourself when you want to.
Just a quick follow-up. So I shouldn't be judging if, like, for instance, if I get into a situation where I'm practicing healing with someone and I do kind of whatever, cross that boundary, if it's okay with the both of us, I'm not doing anything bad.
Well, certainly that would be something to bring up before the healing starts, that this is a possibility. How do you feel about it? What is the stop word or something like that, so that everyone feels comfortable with it? Yes, that it's fine.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Christine. Cynthia.
Hello, Council. It is so lovely to speak with you. I read your channelings every day. I actually can't believe that I had never watched Daniel. I had actually thought that Daniel was someone that I had seen on Reuben. And so that was interesting the first time I realized that you weren't. But what I wanted to say is that I've been having a lot of the experiences that Daniel described at the beginning, where actions are just coming through my body and sounds are coming out. And when I saw Daniel do. He's not doing it right now, but the thing with his hand on his chest with the fingers, yes, that I started immediately sobbing. That has been one that I've been doing a lot lately. And I was wondering if you could speak on the energy of that one. It just rang so clear. And I know it's all energetic. So I would just love if you could expand on that, please.
Yes, indeed. Well, with one hand, the energy is coming out of the two fingers. And at times, with the other hand, the energy needs to loop. So it's going up the forefinger, and the thumb and forefinger are not just touching, they are pressing hard against each other. So the energy is transferring from the finger to the thumb and back down the arm to give it a circular loop experience for Daniel and what he's doing here with this energy. So you have the release and you have the containment at the same time. Now, for it to be here, for this to occur right on his heart is also helpful to activate and energize the heart chakra, to remind him as a conscious channeler that this is where he needs to be focused as well, is in this heart space while he's channeling. And so it serves multiple purposes.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Cynthia. Brittany, your hands again. Chime in.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So I have a question, and I was just curious to hear the Arcturians' perspective on this. But can you give insight into why people are having near-death experiences around this time, and what the purpose is of those?
It's one of the ways in which you are experiencing mass awakenings, as people are not just having more near-death experiences. First of all, there's more people on the planet than there ever has been before. And there's more ways to revive people when they are dead or almost dead than you've ever had before. So that brings the number up naturally, but then also the awakening experiences that people need to have are planned by their guides and by their higher selves for them, so that the experts on these people know exactly what it will take to get them to shift their beliefs dramatically. And of course, these are people who actually want to stay, who want to be a part of the ascension, and who want to be a part of it consciously by then knowing who they really are, everyone else really is. Now, you'll notice not everyone has that same level of consciousness when they come back, but the vast majority do understand that they are source and everyone else is source because of that experience. And that is precisely what it means to be awake, is to have that understanding. So this is one of the ways in which mass awakenings are occurring right now.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Brittany. We'll squeeze one. Okay, we got two more questions. Hopefully they'll be short. Go ahead, Charmaine. Is your mic working?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay,
Awesome.
Good. Thank you. Thank you for coming through the Arcturian Council. I have a question that's it's somewhat basic, but I'm also interested. Are our pets in the ninth dimension as well? They're hanging out.
The consciousness that is within your pets right now will continue to rise up and ascend, just as you are doing, just as you once were in the body of several animals over a course of several lifetimes. So everyone gets to experience every level of consciousness, and that choice that they have made to be in animal bodies is similar to you just choosing to be in human bodies, while we are choosing to be non-physical and as a part of a collective consciousness. But it all happens for every single soul, that every single soul gets to experience all the different levels And it's even more accurate to say, because time is simultaneous, that your pets are currently experiencing ninth dimensional consciousness. But then there's the experience of the experiencer, which is that linear movement through the dimensions, through time and space to get to that place, which is what they will have and will continue to ascend, just as you all will, even after this universal shift is complete.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Charmaine. Okay, we got Will back for the last question, and we'll bring Daniel back.
Okay, my question is, and thank you for the chance to ask another one, is we kind of deify you on the ninth dimension, or at least I do. I'll speak for myself. Do you find any aspect of humanity in our dimension interesting? Is there any part of it that I know envy's probably really a funny concept up there that is not the same. Is there any aspect of our world and existence that you find really fascinating?
All of it. Basically, we are absolutely thrilled to have the opportunity not just to connect with all of you in this way, but also to observe, to witness your triumphs, to witness how you pick yourselves up from tragedies, and especially to witness you in your creativity, the way that you take a download that you receive and you turn it into something that others can also experience, like a work of art, a song, a movie, anything at all that is that expression of that energy. We never know exactly how it's going to come through someone. We never know exactly how one of our transmissions through Daniel is going to come through him until it does. And so we don't know everything that's going to happen there. And we are on the edge of our non-physical seats, just as all of you are. And we also understand it depends on which timeline we're looking at, which reality. We get to look at all of them. That's how expansive consciousness gets in the ninth dimension, is we get to see all the various timelines, all the various choices all at once. And we still don't know which choice each individual is going to make on that timeline. So yes, it's been fascinating. Yes.
All right. Thanks, Will. All right. We'll bring Daniel back and close. Thank you so much,
What a
Arcturians.
lovely question. You are very welcome. We are so happy to have had the opportunity. Well, the Arcturian Council. And we have enjoyed connecting with you. Hello.
All right. Wow. I was just putting in the comment section, edge of our non-physical seats. That should be a t-shirt. That's awesome. Cool. Well, thank you. How were you feeling?
And that every expressed reality.
I'm sorry.
Where are you? Oh, you're over there. Okay.
Oh, I'm over here.
I feel great. We were talking before we started about how I've been feeling a little sick lately with a sore throat. And channeling is the best thing for me. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. It's the best thing I could ever do with my time. So I don't know. You can't really say it's luck, but I'm fortunate that I decided to have that experience of not being drained by it, but instead being energized by it and actually more just feel better about everything. All aspects.
You get a little charge, a little orgasmic charge after.
Not that big. No,
not that big.
Not that kind of charge, but the kind of like, I just had a great nap or I just meditated or something like where physically I feel better and emotionally everything is better.
Yeah. Awesome. How did people find your work? And then also what's coming up for you?
Oh, so much. I'm always doing a ton of events. Like I have an advanced group channeling class tomorrow with the Arcturian Council where they teach for 2 hours. I have, what's that?
Do you stay in the channeling state for 2 hours?
Hours, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think, no, I take a break at the 1 hour mark. So I come out
Okay.
and come back. Then I started doing this thing, which is very similar to this, really, this kind of gathering. It's called satsang and guided group meditation. So I have one of those on the 28th, and it's all about living a life of abundance, or I think that's what I called it, while also being spiritually awake. And then upcoming March 12th, another big, long Zoom event of 9, it's 9 class sessions separated by like a month each, and it's 2 hours each one. And it's all about how to take all of this, all the gifts and everything, and make it into a business and be able to support yourself with it. So,
Oh, okay.
that's
Like
what I call
like an
it.
online business.
Business.
Very cool.
Yeah, to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And other than that, you have my website, so much on my website, and my name's Daniel Scranton, and when you Google me, I think I'm pretty much the only Daniel Scranton who comes up. And on YouTube, I have literally thousands of videos on YouTube.
yes, you are dedicated to your work, my friend. You put out a video every day, and nearly every day, and it's amazing. And thank you so much. Oh, Christine has her hand up. Go ahead, Christine.
Hi, Daniel.
Hi.
I asked a question during the channeling session, and I appreciate the answer. I don't remember if you if you were
Yeah.
conscious.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just wondering if there's a way that the past few years, especially during the pandemic, I feel like I've been going in a downward spiral, and I'm having a lot of difficulty. I feel like I need to figure out how to pull myself out of this. I've been in such a low vibration, not feeling myself at all. And a lot of it has to do with that sexual energy. And I don't, especially to the point where I've gotten now, where during the pandemic, I had to move in with my parents, and I have no sacred space whatsoever. It's such a small space. I don't know what to do. Like the sexual energy, like I can't even meditate, nothing. You were suggesting private yoga sessions, anything else where I could channel this really big, loud, powerful sexual energy and kind of integrate with it.
Well, since you don't really love the home life that you have now in terms of privacy and all that, another thing that's been a big part of my life, like ever since I awoke spiritually, I've wanted to spend as much time in nature as I can. And I've always made a point of like finding the place where I can go. Even when I was living in Long Beach, all they had was like this man-made nature center where they had planted everything. But it was over decades, it had grown, and it seemed, it was good enough for me, because in Long Beach, I was kind of far from any actual forest. But, finding your spot in nature where you can be by yourself, and, and when you're sitting on the earth with your root chakra right there, I mean, I think that you could do some real good work of grounding it into Mother Earth, and just get out in the middle of nowhere and just be by yourself and accept all of this, like be in that state of complete allowing of this being part of your process. And when you don't have to worry about like what anybody else is thinking, or anybody else is going to say about it or think about it, then you can really let loose.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Good stuff. Absolutely. Yeah. I found that doing the breath work outside in nature really helps connect. I get way deeper, bigger ground downloads by being out in nature and doing breath work and stuff. So
Yeah,
For
there's less
sure.
interference out there.
Yeah.
There's
And
nothing like that.
finding that those places where you can do it and not, think about the eyes on you and that kind of stuff. Because especially when you're contorting and making, strange interfaces and that.
The other day, I found that there's a place in walking distance from this Airbnb where we're staying. And it's like a 15-minute walk and it's trails. It's nothing too fantastic, but it does the trick for me after a day of like working, inside all day. And I get out and then afterwards I was waiting because I had to wait for my wife and daughter to get back to the Airbnb. So I had time to just hang out there. So I was earthing, I lay on my back on this grassy part and I'm meditating and I start like jerking around, like you sometimes do when you go deep in and your body's just like jerking. And I thought, oh no, it looks like I'm having a seizure. I bet you. And then like within seconds, a guy rides up on his bike. He's like, "You okay, mate?"
What? Are you in Australia?
Are you in Australia? Yeah, I'm in Australia.
Oh, okay.
I am, yeah.
Oh shoot! I don't even know why. Crazy. Well, it's is it a similar time zone? What time is it there?
It's 4 hours earlier than Hawaii. It was not too early for me actually because yeah.
Okay. Good. Wow. Well, thanks for chiming in all the way from Australia and twitching down under. This has been amazing. So thank you so much for your time. I'm glad we're finally able to do this, and I hope it won't be our last. I hope we can bring you back on in the future. I know you're super busy, but we'll hopefully some of our members will they already have, but some more will check out your work and continue to receive the daily uploads. So just thank you so much for everything you're doing in this community and helping others connect in this way.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Awesome. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you like this interview. We actually do this every week on my membership portal page. You can access it through interviewwithed.org or click on the link somewhere in here. I'll put a link and come over and join us. You too can ask questions. Every week we have new special guests and you get to ask questions directly to the channelers and to the beings that they channel. So see you in the portal.